This is how I eat brisket 7 days a week. This is a whole packer brisket. It is a full-size brisket, weighing between 5 and 7 kilograms. It has fat that melts, making it juicy and flavorful. It is the brisket of choice for me. But the size of it, it's a bit much. And so is the price. It's between 150 to 250 euros. That's a quarter of the rent or half a car payment. So I am suggesting to make this brisket for your family. It is the perfect size for a family. This is a black Angus prime part of the brisket. It is the flat section. It is not as thick as a whole packer brisket, but it still has a lot of meat and a lot of fat, which means we can cook this to absolute perfection in a fraction of the time for a fraction of the cost, and it's still plenty enough for your whole family. As a matter of fact, if you follow the suggestions that the food center gives you, it is recommended by the government that you eat between 75 and 100 grams of meat every day. Which means this piece should last you and your family at least 7 days. This brisket flat already looks really good, but I want to trim it up even further. I want to take off all the fat at the bottom, just to make it as good looking as I can. Then it's time to start making a rub. For that I'm going to use 1 part salt, half a part ground black pepper, a quarter part onion powder, and 1/8 part garlic powder. Now we're going to mix that all up and sprinkle it on our brisket. And don't be shy, even though this is a thinner cut of meat, you can still put plenty of it on. Now it's time to fire up our barbecue. This is a gravity-fed smoker made by Masterbuilt, and this thing is absolutely insane. It runs on charcoal, and it's kind of like a hybrid version of a pellet grill and a real smoker. I loaded up the chute with charcoal, then I lit it up, and I let the computer do the rest of the job because you can hear a fan running, and that fan is blowing air past the fire, creating heat and creating smoke. I put a fire starter in the bottom, lit it up, and I turned it on. The fan started running, blowing air along the fire into the hot area where we're actually going to be smoking. Our smoker is getting up to temperature, and I'm going to place on my brisket with the fat cap down. Of course, I want to make sure that I cook my meat absolutely perfect, so I'm going to put in my meter thermometer at the dead center of the meat. This way I'm absolutely sure my brisket is going to turn out perfect. And before we're going to let this brisket quietly cook, I'm going to add a chunk of smoke wood. This is beech tree, and it's going to give a perfect smoke profile to our brisket. And now all we need to do is let the smoke do its job. When your brisket looks like this, or it has a core temperature of around 70 degrees, it's time to make a spray. To a pan, I'm going to add 500 milliliters of beef broth, a tablespoon of Worcester sauce, 1 quartered onion, a clove of garlic, 10 cloves, and 2 bay leaves. Now I'm going to let that come to a boil and let it simmer for around 10 minutes. Then I'm going to let it cool down again so it's warm to the touch, put it in my spray bottle, and spray the brisket. I'm going to repeat that process every time the brisket gets a little dry on the outside. We're pretty far in the cook of our brisket, and it's starting to look amazing. We got amazing color, we sprayed regularly, and it's quite nice and moist on the outside. And on the bottom, we can see that the fat cap is slowly melting away. But there's a problem. The heat is coming from the bottom and is rendering down the fat, but it also gives more heat from the bottom than what comes from the top. So here's my solution. I'm gonna take a piece of butcher's paper, place the brisket on with the fat cap up this time, and then I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna place it back on the grill, and now the other side is pointed toward the heat. So that will help to cook it evenly. This one family-sized brisket all started by selecting the right part of the brisket. Then you gotta make your brisket rub and shake it all over. Smoke it with a charcoal fire and a little bit of smoke wood. Spray it with an amazing brisket spray. Wrap it once you get that good color. And then let it cook to 92 degrees Celsius. After which you're gonna let it rest. And then your brisket should look like this. This is what you should be happy about. Look at that smoke ring. Beautiful color. And we had the fat cap down all this time, protecting that meat. Do you see how thick that fat actually still is? And the meat is still juicy. And this has been laying on the table already for around 20 minutes because we gotta take the picture and everything. And it still looks absolutely beautiful. Good smoke ring, good color, good juiciness. Absolutely fantastic. A little bit of pull, that's what we're looking for. And now it all comes down to flavor. Oh man, this is good.
Look at that. That's one heck of a smoke ring. Like this could be the Iron Curtain between Germany and Russia back in the day. This is so heavy. This is like a whole border. You could serve this in a plane. Oh, you can serve this in a plane. You have these tiny sacks of nuts. But instead of nuts, you get a brisket. Best idea ever, right?
No, that's the worst idea ever. You can't serve this in a plane, they'll just screw it up. You can't, there's like something this good, you don't want to serve in a plane. This is what you want to make at home.
I've thought it through.
It's like the same thing like saying you should put it in the vending machine.
Listen. You smoke it on the airport, right? Yeah? Right there next to the plane. You get on the plane. Brisket out, still resting in the plane. When you're up and the seatbelt you can take your seatbelt off 20 minutes later. Serving time, brisket.
That actually is a good idea. Just take the cooler on board, use it as an appetizer. But what if you take something like this, which is really good, but then you fry it?
Wait. No, don't give up your beautiful ideas.
Oh, hope you guys enjoyed this video.
I'm going.
If you want to watch the next video, please go ahead. If you need this recipe, go to pitmasterx.com. Big thanks to patrons and YouTube members. Hope to see you guys next time. Until then, eet smakelijk and keep on clicking the next video.
But seriously.
No.
Airport brisket.